Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go. Hi, everyone. Today's Tuesday, November the 25th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. 40 years ago, I had my first child today. That's incredible. I feel ancient, like the Crypt Keeper. Just kidding. Actually, I feel pretty good. Anyways, let's listen. After you've been working in this business for this long, you go crazy, and you tend to laugh a lot if you want to keep your sanity to the level that is available to work. Okay, so let's jump right in. We're taking a look at the E-mini S&P today. Let's see what's on the docket. Whoops, that's ChatGPT. Sorry. Today we have PPI at 8:30 Eastern, retail sales 8:30 Eastern, Case-Shiller index. That's interesting right there. Consumer confidence at 10, business inventories a little bit later. So here's what we have. We have a backdrop of a fair bit of information on a holiday week. As I mentioned yesterday, when retail traders are in charge, price action tends to be bullish. So I noticed a lot of people on the streams, not my streams specifically, but a lot of people on X and such as I was traveling, because I am in North Carolina today and will be for the week. What I noticed was a lot of people trying to short this market, and you simply cannot unless you're scalping. Okay, so what's the storyboard? Where are we going? We are trying to work through Thursday's candlestick. That's last week, Thursday. And this morning, we have an inventory box. Now, I am on the 4-hour because I want you to see what the framework is. What is the goal of these traders? Pre-market, we were down a little bit, and now we're starting to bounce. Inventory is a little bit flat, but as we come into this time frame, I would say that it may shift positive. What are the lines in the sand? Okay, the big line in the sand is the 0 DTE line at 6,750. It's the call wall also for the end of the month. The put wall, 6625. Move down a little bit. And put support deeply below at 6,500. Notice the trend is in some kind of flag pattern. We can see that on the daily as well. And the goal is to eliminate or retrace this candle flow from the sell-off of Nvidia. That's going to be the goal. Overall trend line still down, momentum flat, and no significant buying on the 4-hour. So let's go down to our 30-minute. And what we can see is the price action is very tightly bound, but that the traders are still buying this dip. We are now at the 1, that's the first dip that's got bought, 2, and now we're looking at a very shallow dip, which is actually mean reversion into this particular trend line. Expectation is that we do rise to the top of this box. That's my suspicion, okay? Inventory is very tightly wound in the region. So, I mean, if you're a betting man, you could trade this bounce out. But here's what I want you to know. My trading is very thin right now. 1, I'm traveling with family. 2, I am looking at a very sideways pressure event. And so that makes me say, if I'm going to trade this, momentum is not exactly running up the hill. So I want to wait for the dip, and I want to have a clear line in the sand. And that line looks to be about 6,700. We do have a cross current, right? We have this downward flow here, and we could easily bounce above it. My thought is dips or buys. I heard an RIA yesterday say, yes, the inmates are running the asylum for the week, and he was calling us the inmates. I don't suppose he meant any harm by it. I certainly didn't take offense, but that is what we're seeing. And when retail is in charge, folks, what happens is that we tend to be ever so bullish in the space. So, what are we walking through? We're going from one inventory area of accumulation to the top of another. Dips or buys. Dip zone, I don't know, 66.95, right? Below that, you're going to have to say, maybe I need to step out, because you easily could retrace into prior inventory accumulation that is really right around the zone of 66.75 all the way down to the VWAP, which is 66.50. We also had a gamma line there last week to watch. Forgive me with the sniffles. I apologize for that. All right, here we go. Let's slip to the 4-hour so we can see. Interesting. This formation looks a little bit more broadening if I were to assess it simply, right? It is a broadening formation down here to the bottom. We drifted lower, but this is still a flag pattern off of a very large upside formation. And we did dip, and so notice, if we were maybe taking a look at Dakota's 3-bar reversal, what we'd want to do ultimately to see price action move. Now, what I'm doing is assuming this is 1 bar, this is another bar, and so what I want to do is see it come up and hold above the overall call wall to let me know that it's going to move to the upside. And so that is fairly important. It's fairly important. So let's head back to our 30-minute and take a look at what's going on. Very sideways pressure. Again, traders are in a wait state. We have a few pieces of economic data that can really move the dial. The anchored VWAP is well below at 24,750. 0 DTE call wall, 25,150. 0 DTE put wall, 24,800. And then, we've got this 50% range, which looks really pretty good. 24,600 as the lower space. What am I thinking? Well, where's the pressure coming from? It's dip buyers, right? The dip buyers are still buying the dip. Notice the formation. Sideways action, and then straight up. Sideways action. What do you think? Yeah, me too. Probably going to be straight up. So where is our breakaway? Our breakaway really is through the top of the box at 25,000. So far, there's a fair bit of supply holding us down. But remember, this is the sort of thing that happens. And so I would say dips or buys at the put support event. Call walls, put walls in natural shape, right? So the people that sit in between these areas are going to be making their money today, all right? Thin volume, wait on the trade. Don't get yourself all wrapped up in X, Y, or Z. Just look at price. Right now we're under the VWAP. Look for the dips. Realize we are in some sort of pattern that moves sideways overnight, tests the formations below, and then moves to the upside. And so that's what we're going to look for. The test of the formation below and then to the upside. Where is the ideal buy point, statistically speaking? It would be at the anchored VWAP at that 24,750. Let's take a look at micro Bitcoin. Nice rally up off the space. Still got to get past 89,000. That's the line in the sand. I'm going to reverse. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this one. Remove. Okay, and I'm going to turn it in the other direction. for the motion. Where do I want to see that pressure? Event. Let's measure this one. Last big line. Let me make sure that I have picked the right formation. Yes. Right? Inventory accumulation. And then distribution at a discount if you're buying. Right? Here they are coming up into the framework. This is still desperately bearish. Here's the number. My suspicion is that these guys are going to try and buy it up this morning. Now, let's see if we can find a trend line that seems reasonable and see if that actually holds. So I'm going to try and get these wicks from back here. And again, there's that 89,000. That's the line in the sand that tells me when buyers are going to put the sellers on the back foot. Put support, call walls in much better shape today. The call resistance is at 92,000. That would be the updraft that so many Bitcoiners are looking for. And I'm going to tell you, when they get up there, they're going to liquidate again. They are. Why? Because they thought 90,000 would hold. And so if they get, as soon as they get to that 90,000, they're going to start liquidating. I think a new band of shorts shows up. It's the pullback that holds the floor at around 83,000 that's going to give us the go. Okay? That is the important thing to look at. Inventory accumulation in a wide box from 85,500. It's below this trend line, so it needs to recapture it. If you take a long down at the base of this formation, you want to hold your stop fairly tight. See, this wick comes in, liquidates everybody, and then the traders go off. So watch for the sneaky players trying to come in at around that 83,000. All right? Let's take a look at oil. Oops. We're not in the Z contract. I think we're in the F contract, but whoa. What happened there? Okay, let's go CL. I think, no, not the F contract for sure. So let's see what's happening. All right. So we might have another peace deal event going on right here, but certainly, what are we sitting down at? The bottom of the box. And so if we stare this down and look at the bottom of the box, we can see the buyers still coming in at this 57 number. That was the put wall yesterday, 57.50. It's disappeared. It's moved well below. And so my sister has a lot of dogs. Now the big put floor is at 55. The call, the 0DTE call wall is at 60.50. You know what? I need to go back here. See what's happening. We've got some sort of data that's skewing this. Our big put wall is 55. Our big call wall has come all the way down to 59.50. Interesting. Now, what's happened here? We lost the 0DT put support, so what are the traders going to try and do? They're going to try and buy this bottom, folks. This has been a buy zone for several days, right? This is the third day. It's landlocked in this space, and so we expect the big range. I don't know if that filled. I'm going to have to check to see if that long filled for myself. All right. That being said, if you are long from the bottom here, the first target would be the point of control at 56.84. The second target would be the 0DTE put wall, which is 58. And the third target would be the anchored VWAP from yesterday, which is 58.23. Let it try to make a bottom, see what goes on. This obviously is some sort of news that's just come out. and it's got pretty solid volume on it. So, you know, come down into tighter formations and see if you can see something like this where you can go, all right, if I take the long here, I know my stop is here. Why do we wait on a chart to stabilize? Because we want to see where our ultimate risk is that is statistically visible, right? That's what we want to stare down. Okay, let's go to gold. Nice move. Wow, up above the call wall in the overnight. Check it out. Look at the trend line. Steep move up in the overnight, and steep move up all day yesterday. So what's happening here? Okay, retail in charge, trending higher. Retail has just gotten on the gold bandwagon in the last 4 or 5 months, right? Mostly because their portfolio managers are telling them, hey, gold has never been a good store of value, blah, 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 blah. And a lot more retail traders are taking their 401ks and XYZs into their own hands, and they're learning to follow markets. Retail is getting much smarter. But here's the thing. Every single time, that's not true. There's no every time in the market. Most times, when we stare down the charts, this is what we notice. That retail, when retail is in charge, trends tend to be to the upside. So, what's going on today? Well, momentum is down on the 30-minute. We had all of this updraft. If we say, hey, listen, a bunch of that updraft is noise, is there any way I can bring this chart in to test some kind of old resistance, new support? It's going to be value area high right here at 4,100, which happened to be the 0 DTE call wall from days past. It is now 41.15. Very interesting. Okay, so, oh yeah, and it's also the big call wall. Very interesting. All right, so we should be starting to roll over into the new month, and let me see what that is. Okay, gold futures, Jan F contract. Okay, here we go. They've rolled to the F contract. That's where all the gamma flows are. 43.80. 0 DTE call wall, we're above that. That's 41.30 or so. Yep. And the 0 DTE put wall is now 40.50. The song remains the same though. Oh, this is a bimodal distribution, folks. Literally, whatever happened at the close, right after the close of gold in yesterday's market, it just had a massive move up through this area, which makes it a volume pocket, right? So what's the storyboard? My thought is they're still going to try and hold the floor, right? So what are we looking at? The actual put wall, 4,067, 0 DTE. 0 DTE call wall, they're above it, 41.30. Remember, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to get down below. But they've tried to get below, and they can't do it. But this whole area is a mess of somebody trying to get control of inventory. So far, nobody has, but look at all the volume. And this is European and Asian markets. So something's afoot here. Something's afoot. Yeah, I would, I definitely wouldn't try to short the top of this formation at this juncture. Not at all. Even though I do think it stays below 4,200. On this kind of excess volume, something's afoot. All right, so we want to be very careful here. Dips clearly buy zones. But momentum is moving into neutral territory, so watch for sideways action that you can buy the bottom off of. I like that 41.31. Okay, lastly, let's take a look at SPY. So as we take a look at SPY, we can see the same thing. Big call wall, still 700. Big put wall, still 640. Zero DTE call wall, 674. Zero DTE put wall, 660 or so, right? Somewhere around there. Look what's happening. Tons of inventory. Remember, what do you want to do? What are they collecting inventory to do? Either buy it or sell it. Here's Thursday's high. That's up the call wall. I suspect they try to get up there. We have today, we have tomorrow, we have half of Friday. So to me, this is pretty important for us to pay attention to. The anchored VWAP from the prior day has been tested. That's 666. And so the failure of that zone puts us into the lower volume pocket that begins at 665 and goes all the way down to 658. What's the storyboard? Dips are still buys, but you want to be quick or you're going to be dead. You just have to be careful on a day like today. We've got a lot of news coming out and it could really shift the market. So wait for your spot. Wait for your spot and then take the trade. All right, everyone, good luck. I'll see you on the streams.